Everybody knows Mayor Pete was like the flavor of the month. It seemed like Pete could do no wrong. People were praising Mayor Pete. Great things were being said about Mayor Pete. He had the spread in Time Magazine, him and his husband. Everyone's talking about it. He's been on several shows and not really, in my opinion, never really challenged for substance. And he was able to get these like platitude-y, nice responses, and people were going like, that's good enough, because he made them feel good, I think, just because he could speak well and he seemed reasonable in his tenor, his voice.
Just about every one of us in some way belongs to a group that could be marginalized if we don't have the right kind of policies to lift all of us up. And those are the kinds of policies we're going to be talking about throughout this campaign.
He was vociferously gifted. He's vocally eloquent. But my fear with Mayor Pete has always been that Mayor Pete doesn't have much experience, and he seems to be an empty suit, and he took money from the wrong people, and where'd he come from anyway? And he met with Hillary Clinton, and. Well, the last couple of days, things have been coming out about Mayor Pete, and he's been having to deal with some things in his home of South Bend, Indiana, where he is the mayor. And there was recently a shooting in South Bend, Indiana, where a white officer shot a black man to death. This has sparked a lot of outrage, obviously, across Indiana. So Mayor Pete, he left the campaign trail. He goes home to deal with it. He's going to swoop in. And now here goes a clip of Mayor Pete in South Bend, Indiana, dealing with a crisis.
I want to play for each of you what we just happened earlier today with the Mayor Pete Buttigieg. He was supposed to attend in the fish fry, but he canceled those plans to return home for a march related to the deadly shooting of a black man by a white police officer in South Bend. This is actually what you're looking at here is live, but I want to play for you what just happened moments ago, an exchange he had with community members.
Can you say to us today, in front of all these cameras, that Black Lives Matter?
Did you just ask me if Black Lives Matter?
Yes. We want to hear you say it.
Of course, Black Lives Matter.
Then fire your car.
What about a black life? What matters about a black life to you, Mayor Pete? What matters about a black life to you? Answer that for in just months.
Same thing that matters to me about my own.
Answer that.
Keith, you sort of were, your eyes were opening wide.
I'm shocked. I just saw this for the first time, and that's in South Bend.
Yes.
This is, I think, going back to the conversation I was having with Governor Rendell, it's just that African Americans are not a monolithic community. There are a lot of black people who were fed up and tired of the Democratic Party, not to mention even the Republican Party, but the Democratic Party speaking the right language, but not doing the right thing when it comes to going to the mat and fighting for African Americans. Yes, the Democratic Party is head and shoulders above the Republican Party. There's no doubt about that. But in terms of being willing to fight for the issues that black people are concerned about, black people want to see the party leaders, to see the presidential candidates get out there and do something and lead on these issues, not be followers.
Governor, what do you make of that? I'll give you a chance to respond here to one more thing that just happened with this exchange with Mayor Pete moments ago. Here it is.
I do not have evidence that there has been discipline for racist behavior in the case of Oregon.
And you running for president?
But if
You truly running for president and you want people to vote for you?
But if an
You running for president and you want black people to vote for you? That's a downfall. That's not going to happen.
I'm not asking for your vote.
You ain't gonna get it either.
This seems new to some people, but it should not be so new to all of you, because this is what we've been talking about. Mayor Pete does not have a good relationship with black people in his home city, his hometown, where he's the mayor. And he's not a new mayor, he's an incumbent mayor. Racial problems, bigoted, racist remarks by officers on the force, which was part of the reason why the chief, the first black chief, got let go. Scandal of finding out all these things that were said between these cops on these radio transmissions. But it had to do with racist cops. And that's what the woman is talking about in the video. Why are these cops still on the force? And now we have the death of a black man by the hands of a white cop, and people have concerns because, well, racist cops exist on the force in South Bend. And up to this point, what has Pete done about it? So you saw Pete right there say, well, I can't say that action has been taken against these racist cops who were found to be racist. If it's your job to make sure that things don't go that way, that you are taking care of racist cops and getting them off the force, how can there be any trust between the communities if you have racist cops who make racist posts, who make racist talk, racist emails, whatever? Why are they still employed? So that's all on Mayor Pete. Like, he's the mayor. Everyone keeps saying, well, his whole thing was, I'm a mayor and I know how to run a thing and I run everything, water, sewage, trash pickup to protection and police and budget. Like, he says he has all this experience. Well, what's going on in your city? These are things I brought up, have been bringing up about Mayor Pete. It's all been, to me, about his relationship with his husband, the fact that he's a gay man, the fact that he went to great schools, the fact that he can speak a lot of languages, the fact that he likes puppies, the fact that he can cook, and there's all this other stuff, but not a lot of it. Oh, the fact that he's a veteran, the fact that he's young, like all these things, but none of it's about how great of a job he's done leading. Like anyone else out there, I'm looking for the best candidate. If Mayor Pete Buttigieg was the best candidate, I'd be behind him. I'm not paid by any candidate. I don't report to any candidates. I'm not no way affiliated with them. None of them are my friends. I just appreciate them for what they do, and I try my best to get them a fair shake. If I thought that Pete Buttigieg was the way forward, I would be talking about it. I'd be damned all disrespect, or how can I say this? If I thought that Mayor Pete was the right candidate, I'd be behind him and I wouldn't care what it cost me. Because this is bigger than me. This is way bigger than me and my show. This is about my kids and my grandkids and your kids and the world. So that's how I feel about it. So anyway, I have a clip I want to share with you from The View. Now, I've used The View as clips before, but typically, I'm really bagging on The View because The View typically gets things very wrong. But in this particular case, you got to give props where it's due.
And then run for president. Same with Pete. Yeah. Mayor Pete. Fix what's going on in South Bend. I think they have 100,000 people there or something. Yeah. I don't remember.
Very small, yeah.
It's small. Somebody will tell you in your ear. But it's a small population. Do your job first there and then run for president. Yeah. That's my feeling. And it's not necessarily something he wants to hear.
And, I have been impressed by him as well, especially when he came here. Yeah. But I went to law school in South Bend, and I think Megan and I were talking about this. He has had a problem with the African-American community in South Bend for quite some time. I'm very active with the Law School Alumni Association. I've visited a lot. I've spoken to a lot of the African-American community, and they say that his housing program, which was supposed to be extraordinary and revolutionary, was to bulldoze vacant homes, and most of those homes were in the African-American community, displacing the African-American community. They were very upset with him, and he didn't really address it.
Let's finish talking about this when we come right back.
Yeah.
Welcome back. So you were saying?
Just that he has a problem with the African-American community in South Bend, which is 30% of the community. That's significant.
Well, there are several things happen that at that meeting. Apparently only 5% of the police force is black. He's been criticized for firing the first black police chief. And at a protest Saturday, the woman shouted, "You're running for president, you want black people to vote for you. That's not going to happen." And he said, "Ma'am, I'm not asking for your vote."
Yeah.
Actually, you are.
Yeah. I thought that was a horrible answer, by the way.
Yeah, and what it does, I think, is it just kind of shows that he's a little more than green around the edges, because people are going to ask you much harder stuff than this.
And
they're going to say
that
things,
black vote,
and you need, but you also need to know how to respond to people.
Yeah.
You're sitting there.
Couple things I want to make clear right off the top. First of all, The View may be right about this comment, but or right about the fact that they may agree. We may be on the same side about how I feel about Pete at the moment and how they feel about Pete at the moment. But the fact of the matter is my apprehension about Pete is not new stuff. Like, I didn't become apprehensive about Pete because he gave a bad answer at a town hall, at an event during a crisis. So the things that Sonny's listing, the things that Whoopi's listing, are the same things. They existed when Pete came there the first time. So my question is very simple, Whoopi Goldberg. My question is very simple, Sonny, who I'm very disappointed in, because I expect you to do more, to be a little bit more prepared. Why weren't you voicing this about Pete when you first came to the show? I mean, he's been mayor for a while. The issues that you cite that are dings on him have been dings on him way before he came to The View. See, that makes me feel like you're disingenuous. And when the wind blows another way, you will forget all about everything you just said, because I don't think you really are there to give us real information. I think you're there to play the media game, which is when it's time to boost them up, oh, let's boost them up. Oh, let's boost them up. And when it's time to break them down, oh, we break them down. Oh, we break them down. That's not speaking truth to power. Last thing. And guys, I have a feeling that, because if you notice in the clip, when the sister said to Pete, you want black people to vote for you, then it's a cut. And later he says, I'm not asking for your vote. She says, you ain't going to get it either. I have a feeling.
And you running for president?
But if
You truly running for president and you want people to vote for you?
But if
You running for president and you want black people to vote for you? That's a downfall. That's not going to happen.
I'm not asking for your vote.
You ain't going to get it either.
That there was a lot of conversation in between there. And I'm just guessing that he was saying, I didn't come home to ask you for a vote. I came home to try to help with this situation. That's what I think. I think that's what he was trying to say. Obviously, he's running for president. He's asking for votes, but he's not here. That's not what brought him back to South Bend on this day. He was not brought back to ask for votes. He was brought back because he came back. He wasn't brought back. He came back because of this issue. And I'm not saying he came back for the greatest reasons. Maybe he's coming back to do some damage control. Maybe because it's his job. Okay, so I'm not saying he's a saint because he came back to his city when there's a crisis. But what I'm saying is maybe that's what he was referring to. And here's the thing, guys. Just because you don't agree with somebody politically, right, doesn't mean you can't be civil. But see, civil doesn't mean that I capitulate to BS. All it means is, yeah, I'm not going to just throw you under the bus. Because frankly, I think there's going to be enough time for you to do that for yourself. I'm not going to make up stuff. I'm not going to fabricate anything. I'm going to use what I already have. The fact that you don't seem like you don't like hiring black folks, so you got no problems firing black folks, and you like kicking black folks out their home, that's a lot of red flags to me. So I don't need to fabricate an altercation between you and a woman and say, you said you don't need her vote, when that don't even make sense. I don't think that's what he meant. He doesn't approach me as a dumb person who would say that. So a lot of people are running with it. I think they're wrong. And if all we're going to do is fabricate things against politicians we don't agree with, then I think that does a disservice to our audiences. So I'm going to keep it moving. Mayor Pete, I don't think it's time for him to be running for president. That's how I feel about it. And it wouldn't, and you're free to make up your own mind. I will continue to cover Mayor Pete as fairly as possible, but I don't see a lot of genuineness in a lot of what he's doing. I see too much neoliberal BS, little flimsy statements about Medicare for all, other issues. I got concerns. All right.